मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So excuse me, in Vedanta, what is important for us to know is that what delivers the goods for a student to understand the whole thing is vichara. Vichara means to follow the teaching in a way that it becomes effective. That's what vichara is. And contrasted to that, all the other actions, all the other supports and so on are secondary. The primary is vichara. We've talked about this, that for example, you need Ishvara Kripa, which means somehow through your past karmas and samskaras to the present life, there needs to be a blessing of Ishvara so that we can try to understand what's going on. So this is, not everybody does that, but this is an important thing. So the Ishvara Kripa is the beginning. From there it comes Shastra Kripa. So the word of Ishvara is the Shastra, which says, here's what's going on, here's what you need to do. Please do not stop, do not wander around, take a direction. And this is what, and we have complete instructions on how to do that. So Shastra Kripa. After that comes the Guru Kripa. Guru Kripa means an ability to find a teacher that has a good understanding of the Shastra himself or herself and has the personality to stay with you to a large extent to communicate the Shastra to you. So that is the Guru Kripa. But all of these three kinds of Kripas, Ishvara, Shastra, and Guru, are supporting the main Kripa, which is what is called Atma Kripa. So the Atma Kripa is Vichara. Because of the nature, this is what we should really be very clear about, that the Advaita Vedanta, actually even the word Advaita is superfluous. Vedanta means Advaita Vedanta. Even though some of the Acharyas have, because they themselves had they could not answer they could not understand the whole thing as clearly as they should have, come up with some variations. The Sankhya system, the Vishishta Advaita system, all those kinds of systems that come up are not really Vedanta. Vedanta means Advaita Vedanta. So the basic tenet of the Advaita Vedanta is that your taking yourself to be a limited person is a mistake. It's a mistake. That's not the truth. That's not who you are. And so you take yourself to be other than what you are is a mistake. And you need to really think about what that mistake is. This is vichara. So, in order to help ourselves to do this analysis, I thought that we would suggest a exercise and a quiz. And I think you all responded well. This was actually, I remember one of the students, I think it was Shrida Joysa, who had suggested that maybe we need to have more quizzes. And I don't want to give you a, 2 or 3 classes quiz, But this is an opportunity while we were away for the retreat to package a set of questions that would be a good challenge for you. And you have all, I feel that a lot of you have really taken that opportunity. Several of you have sent me emails, and most of your answers are fairly good. I don't see any glaring mistakes. Anyway, so that was the idea of the of this section. The choice of the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita actually started with the teaching of Swami Akhandananda in this Mandukya Karika. If you go to pages 255, he refers to it quite a bit, for several pages. That's what really gave me the idea that perhaps we should package an exam and a self-exam, really, because I don't think I have the time to really go through each one of your answers and give you individual critiques of it. I won't have the time to do that. So all I can do is to tell you what I think the answers are, and then you can self-evaluate to see how closely you came to it. So this is what we're doing today. So, Bhagavad Gita is an extraordinary text. There's it's not an accident that it's considered as the fifth Upanishad. Fifth Veda. At the same time, some of the shlokas are not clear in terms of what the intent is. So this is actually in the Brahma Sutra. This is discussed in terms of what's called Spashtalinga Vakyani versus Aspashtalinga Vakyani. So Spashtalinga Vakyani means sentences that are very clear and direct. And Aspashtalinga Vakyani means that they still have the same effect, but they are a little harder to decipher, to find out what the true meaning is. So in the as the 13th chapter proceeds, as you know, the 13th chapter falls under the third part of the Tattvamasi in Bhagavad Gita. So the first 6 chapters, 1 through 6, is Tatpada Pradhana. Tatpada Pradhana. I wouldn't say Tatpada Vachya. I'll explain Vachya in a minute. But I'm using the words carefully. The first 6 chapters are what's called Tvampada Pradhana. Tvampada Pradhana. I don't know if I said a tattva. Tvampada Pradhana means it's you. It's an analysis of the individual. Then the second 6 chapters, 7 through 12, is Tatpada Pradhana. It is based on the cosmic reality, Ishvara. Then the 13th through the 18th chapter proves their identity. So it's one is Tat Tvabadi, Tat comes second, but Tvam Tadasi or Tat Tvamasi, as it is normally said. Asi Pada is the Aikyam, and that starts with the 13th chapter. So, what Sri Krishna does is to present the material in terms of two basic aspects of the creation, which is observed and observer. Drik Drishya. Observer and the observed. And so, with the distinction between them, then this truth is taken to its final. That's the start. The start is the observed and observer distinction, and then it proceeds on to complete the whole analysis. Okay. So now the two ways of creating an understanding in a person are to be understood. And in fact, this sequence that I had presented to you from verses 1 and 2, then 4 or 5 and 6, and then 7 to 11, really what it does is to clarify the distinction between how is the understanding done for observed, the world of observed, and how is the understanding done for the world of the observer. This is how it is. So, what we see is that for observed Drishya Loka, not Drik Loka, but Drishya Loka, all the things I experience and observe is done by what is called Shakti Vritti. So this is what is called Vachyartha, the meaning of what is exactly, what is directly pointed out. Like you say, this is a table. This is what is called Shakti Vritti. So that Shakti Vritti means an understanding is created in your mind based on something that you clearly see in front of you. And then you say, okay, just like, or even you can say, can you bring a chair from the other room? So in this enunciation, everything is very clear. You know what the meaning of a chair is. You know what the meaning of the other room, all those words are. And a person can easily understand what you're saying. This is called Shakti Vritti. But then there are some things that may not lend themselves to Shakti Vritti. So this is called Lakshya Vritti. So Lakshya Vritti means that it is not directly pointed out, but you can still make somebody understand what is being talked about, even though it is not directly pointed out. It's possible. So for example, take one example. So suppose there are two people sitting outside, and then there is a youngster, let's say about a 12, 13-year-old youngster also sitting then with them, one with the dad and one of the dad's neighbor, let's say. This is the three people sitting. Okay, so now supposing there are people passing by on the road. So somebody, you can say, "Hi, Mary, how are you? Good." So now all three of them see this person called Mary. So the father, the son, and the neighbor, all three of them, and say, "Hi, Mary," and they wave at them. So this is done through Shakti Vritti. Okay? And now supposing a guy passes through and he's not walking very steadily, but he's walking. And you say to the friend, the father says to the friend, Here comes Mr. Johnny Walker. So the son says, Dad, that's not Johnny Walker. That is Jim Atkinson, who lives, they knew another neighbor who lives close by, and his name is Jim. So he says, father says directly, pointing out to the other person, here comes Mr. Johnny Walker. The 12-year-old boy says that my dad is making a mistake. That is not Johnny Walker. That is Tim Atkinson. So he says, Dad, what are you talking about? The dad smiles. So what happens is the dad smiles and the other person also smiles. They have understood. So this is an important thing because there was no Shakti Vritti, but there was a Lakshya Vritti. So this is what is called Lakshyartha, the meaning by Lakshya. Indirectly meant. What does it mean? Both the older people know that this guy likes to drink a lot. He goes to these cheap happy hour drinks and he comes, somehow he doesn't get into an accident. He should not even be driving. And that's why he's not walking very steadily. He is very fond of drinking. So here, Mr. Johnny Walker means Scotch. In India, that is a very popular brand. I guess I understand that the Indian Scotches are also now getting very popular and they're exporting it to others. I don't know if it is exporting to Scotland or not, probably not. But both of them know what Johnny Walker means, that it's a brand name of a whiskey. And so by implication, they are able to communicate without pointing out. This is important to say. They didn't say Jim Atkinson, they said Johnny Walker. Now it turns out that because it's a person that they can objectify, they could have used either one of them. They could have used any one of them. They can use Vachyartha, they say, hi Jim, or they can just talk to each other and say, here's come Mr. Johnny Walker. Lakshyartha will also be understood and Vachyartha also be understood. This being the case, so what it means is that both Lakshyartha and Vachyartha can be used to effectively communicate. Then we come to the Atma, the self. Really, I shouldn't even use. So when I say you, the real you, that's what I should say, the you, because I have to clarify who I mean. I don't mean the person who is walking around, listening, watching this telecast, but you, the Atma. This you, the Atma, as we all know, is not an object. You cannot point a finger at the Atma and say, I mean that Atma. You cannot even point it out to yourself. Why? Because the Atma is never manifest. It can never be seen. And it's very interesting, things that cannot be seen cannot be thought about. You see, you can only think about and deal with things that you see. The Atma is not to be seen, and you cannot think about it. Very difficult. You cannot, not difficult, cannot think about it. Not think about it in the same manner that we think about everything else. So this is also pointed out in the second chapter of the Gita. If you see the so in describing the Atma, in verse number 23, 24 and 25, just look at this. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayantyapaha, na shoshayati marutaha, achedyoyam adahyoyam, akledyo shosha evacha, nitya sarvagatasthanu, achaloyam sanatanaha. Then the last one. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadevam viditvainam nanushochitum arhasi. So Shri Krishna says that if you can understand this Atma, natu shochitum arhasi. All shoka, all dukkha will go away in your life. All dukkha are lock, stock and barrel. And to whom? Avyaktoyam achintyoyam. It is ayam. Ayam. So here, this is used. Ayam means this. Ayam means this. Now, it is very interesting that even though you say this, you're not pointing out to do anything like you're saying this. Not like this is not what is called drishya pratyaya. Not thoughts of this. But in this here means it's present here. You don't have to look for Atma anyplace else. It's always present. In that manner, this is appropriate. So it's a slight different way of looking at this. And not only avyaktoham, achintyoham. Achintyoyam. You cannot even think about it. So what does it mean that, if you cannot think about it, and then you say do vichara on it? This is a oxymoron. Please think about it. Vichara means to think about it. And here the Atma says you cannot think about it. This is what is pointed out in the 13th chapter. So Sri Krishna begins in the 13th chapter by, as you know, first of all he's saying, let me try to explain. Let me try to explain the entire Srishti, which is divided into the observed and the observer. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetramiti abhidhiyate etad yo vettitam prahu kshetragya iti tadvidaha. He says that what is seen to be a field of experiences is called kshetra, and the one that sees it is called kshetragya, the knower of the field. Then, as Swami Akhandananda points out, in many other places the language is that of Tattvamasi. It's a Mahavakya. Number 2, Kshetragyam chapi mam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata kshetragyayo jnanam yattat jnanam matam mama. Means, hey Arjuna, please know that I am both the kshetra as well as kshetragya. So here Swami Akhandananda points out the word cha. I think we did this before. The cha is very important because the cha means you also include kshetra. Of course he says I am the kshetragya, but he says, and this is the Advaita Vedanta, even the kshetra is also nothing but me. How do we know that? By the cha. Swami Vivekananda says that supposing you says, Ram also went there. Ram also went there. So when you say Ram also went there, that means there was another person. Shyam, his friend. Ram and Shyam both went there. So it's clearly here means Viddhi Kshetragya cha api mam Viddhi means Kshetragya and Kshetra both need to be me. Sarva Kshetresu Bharata Kshetra Kshetragyoh Jnanam Yattat Jnanam Mamam Mama Matam Mama. Okay, then in the verses 5 and 4 and 5, he proceeds to point out what is Kshetra. So, Mahabhutani Ahankara Buddhi Avyaktam evacha. Avyaktam here means their karana, their cause, which is Prakriti. The Prakriti means the basic thing that makes things move. Like, for example, you can never see a wind blowing directly, but you can see the effect of the wind. And from there you can postulate that there is wind because the leaves are moving. So this is what's called Avyaktam. That is also, actually that Avyaktam is also Vyaktam in the sense that it is also seen in front of you. So he's giving all of the details about Kshetra. Then Indriyani Dasha Ekam cha Pancha Indriyas Gocharaha Ichha Dvesha Sukham Dukkham Sangatas Chetana Dhriti Etat Kshetram Samasena Savikaram Udahritam. So Samasena means Sankshepa, means in a short. He says, I'm not giving you the full list of it, but you can tell these are the kind of things that constitute the Kshetra. Okay. So now as we pose the question to you, he promised that both Kshetra and Kshetragya are mine, but he only describes the Kshetra. Then there is a change of pace rather suddenly, because the expectation is, okay, you talked about there are two things. One is field and the other one is the knower of the field. You've already described the field, now please describe the knower of the field. Doesn't do that. Why? He starts with 20 qualities: amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, kshantir, arjavam, acharya, upasanam, shaucham, stairyam, atma vinigraha, etc., etc. Why? So, the answer to this is the Kshetra can be gotten from what? Can be gotten from Shakti Vritti. You can understand directly, the field can be understood through Shakti Vritti that we saw earlier, which means Vachyartha. That is the meaning of what is directly pointed out. You can say forms, smells, colors, sounds, all those kinds of things is what is called through Shakti Vritti. But when it comes to the Atma, because it is avyaktaha, achintyaha, avikaryaha, Shakti Vritti cannot work. Cannot work. So we have to employ Lakshya Vritti. So here, if I can go to, I'll keep on closing the loop on it so you have a final answer. You can see this, but we are moving towards it. But if I can go to the Kena Upanishad, so this also is very similar to this and very important. So if you go to the 4th verse of the 4th chapter, so here, you know the Kena Upanishad, but let me just put the context here. The student asks from the very beginning, Kene shitam patati preshitam manaha, Kena pranaha prathama praiti yuktaha. He says, there is something behind the mind, something behind the prana. This is also a very evolved student. It is not a simple student. You look at manaha and pranaha and say, so be it, it just happens. But a more thinking vicharavan purushaha will say things. It is kind of like, you see the leaves moving, but you want to find out at what speed should the vayu be, which you do not see, for the leaves to move. You got this weather forecast which says wind direction east to west, and it's 10 miles per hour. 10 miles per hour, the leaves probably don't leave. I don't know, but they don't move. And so there is some analysis of things that make the leaves move. So here it says, by which force is the mind working? The ears working, the prana working. What is the force? Please tell me. So he proceeds to answer that. He says, something which is the ear of the ear, the mind of the mind. Shotrasya shotram manaso manaha yad vachoha vacham sau pranasya pranaha chakshushasya chakshuiti atimuchya dhiraha pretya asmat lokat amrita bhavanti. So he answers it by saying, the one that makes everything move, without which nothing moves, but it itself does not move. It has the power to make things happen. Na tatra chakshur gacchati, na vag gacchati, no manaha, na vidmaha, na vijanimaha, yatha etad anushishyat. So he says, I can only tell you through lakshana vritti. We have only heard very clearly how this is done. I cannot point out to you directly. This is what we have heard and we have understood, and this is what I'm doing. Now comes a very, very interesting statement. Number 4 of the chapter 1. He says, Anyat eva tad viditat atho aviditat adhi iti shushruma purvesham ye naha tad vyacha chakshire. Anyadev tat viditat atho aviditat adhi iti shushruma purvesham ye nas tat vyacha chakshire. Very important verse, really. He says, because it's all about the Atma that he is now starting to unfold. He says, it is other than the known. Other than the known. Other than what is known, the way you know things, it is other than that. It is not something which is known. If it is not something that can be known, then it is not, I guess it's not knowable. And this is really not a theoretical statement. This is 99.9% of the people also believe the same thing, that if it is not knowable, if Ishvara is not knowable, it is not in front of me, then it is, I don't know where I have to find it, probably not there. He says, Anyadev tad viditat atho aviditad adhi. So this is very interesting. The Atma is different from being known and different from being unknown. What? Yes. Because the Atma is behind what is known, what is unknown. You know, the very common thing, some strange language that you can point out, you know, and you can, you know, we all know we cannot say Tamil, we cannot say Telugu, we cannot say this, whatever. So it's some kind of a strange language, supposing, say, do you know that? And you said, no, I don't know that. I don't know that. So let's say, you know, Russian. I don't know, I think maybe some of you know Russian, so it doesn't matter. Any some language. I don't know Russian. Do you know English? Yes, I know English. Russian? No, I don't know Russian. This is a very beautiful thing, a very important thing. You are one which is different from what is known, because the English language is known. And it is also knower of the unknown. It is common to both of them. Atma is something which is there, but not in a form that you can see it. So then what do we do? And then this is a very interesting dialogue that if you ever read Kenopanishad, do it again from time to time. Really, it's just Yad vacha anabhyutitam. Number 5. Yena vag abhyudyate tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam yadidam upasate. He says Brahma is not a vishaya for doing upasana. You can do it for a while just to get Ishvara Kripa if you want to, but you have to do the vichara ultimately. Why? Yat manasana manute yena ahu manomatam tadeva brahma, etc. He goes. Na chakshusha pashyati. All these kinds of things. Then comes the interesting part and the beginning of the second chapter. The second chapter, he says, I remember going through all this very early on and didn't quite get the sense of exactly what is going on. So he says, Yadi manyase suvedeti dabhram eva api nunam tvam vetha brahmanaha rupam tadasya tvam yadasya deveshu atanu mimamsyam eva te manye viditam. The translation of that is, if you think you know Brahman, you don't know it. You have to think again. You have to think about it. Yeah. So go back and think some more. So here, finally, so in chapter number 2, verse number 2, he says, Na aham manye suvedeti, no na vediti vedacha, no na stadveda tadveda, no na vedati vedacha. Very confusing set of, very beautiful but very confusing set of words. So he says, so this is a person who has thought about it and understood that I was still trying to understand Atma as something visible. You know, and this is, I should say this is an important thing to see. I think we all are looking for ourselves as we look for other experiences. I mean, I'm not any different. This is exactly what, even after listening to Swami Dayanandji and so on, this was the result of where we came, that we were experience seekers. Experience seekers in the sense that if we felt good in our mind, if we felt peaceful, satisfied, had a sense of fullness, we thought we had done. That we had done. And we will go back to the same state from time to time, trying to recreate that experience. This is not what it is all about. That's not how it is to be done. So this is what he was saying. If you think you know, that means that you think you had the experience of Atma. As you begin to study, this is exactly what happens. You get a very good high on, I think I know what it is. But one should be careful that you're not an experience seeker. Because how do you conclude that you know? From the state of your mind. Your mind says, I think this is wonderful. Yeah, I think we got it. And you feel satisfied. Only to be disappointed when that experience leaves you. So here, our acharyas, all the acharyas, and I'm just currently quoting Swami Akhandananda, says that the Advaita Vedanta, they should be understood. The example given is that of the rope and snake, that if you continue to, if you're afraid that this is not a rope but a snake, then the question is, how are you going to feel better? So we're discussing this in great length in our retreat. So here, all of the alternate schools of thought bring up. This is all very, very important stuff. So for example, take the yoga, Patanjali Yoga. The Patanjali Yoga says that you have to remove all of your thoughts from your mind and you become Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So it's like saying, you know, I'm afraid of a snake, so you're told, just do yoga. And you think there is a snake under your bed in a room, and you close the door and you're very scared. I don't even want to go. Okay? So it was interesting in the ashram. There was a huge snake that a lot of people saw, and they took pictures of it. Huge snake. We saw two of them actually. Anyway, if you are afraid of the snake, yoga says, remove all your fearful thoughts from your mind. And then you'll be okay. So you're saying Om, Om, etc., etc. And for a while you feel, my thoughts are gone. Fearful thoughts are also gone. I feel good. You think this is going to solve any problem? Are you going to open the door if you still think that the snake is there by removing all thoughts? This is a huge discussion. So then the Sankhya people say that, you know, what you see is part of Prakriti and you are different from it. You're different from it. So just go with it. You are different from Prakriti, you are a Purusha. If you tell the person, you know, snake is different from you, you are different from the snake. How does that help? I want the snake to be gone. And you are saying, yes, deal with it. You know, it has the same degree of reality. So it's okay. Don't go there. Don't even go there. That's probably the essence of Sankhya. And then, I want to close this because I'll give you the clear answer at the end of this. So I wanted to, but anyway, continuing, the various schools of thought like Vaisheshikas and Nayayikas, they said analyze both the pramana and prameya. Exactly, this is kind of like the modern science. They'll say, what is snake? Let us see, where is the fang? And maybe it is not very poisonous. There are different kinds of snakes. You may not be there not be a need for you to be afraid. I don't care about dissection of the snake. I want that stupid snake to be gone. So it doesn't help. So this is all what is called the Astika schools of thought. Astika means they believe in the Vedas. Astika, it used to be to believe in God. That's not what Astika means. Astika means belief in Vedas. Then there are schools of thought that don't believe in the Vedas, including Buddhism, Jainism, and of course Islam, Christianity, etc. So Buddhism, I won't have time to do through all of them, but look at Jainism. What Jainism says is, improve your thoughts, keep on improving to such a degree that you become impervious to dukkha. Keep on doing and do not do any harm to anybody else. Keep wearing a mask so that things don't get into your nose. Be a pure person. Keep on improving. It might take you several lives, but that's okay. We're all going there. Purity, 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 purity. Hey, how does that solve my today's problem? We ask. So, what Vedanta says is, you may be right. Maybe there is a snake in there. But let's take a look at it. Because it's very possible you might have made a mistake. So then you look at it and say, no, this is not a snake. So this is an important thing. This is a negative knowledge. This is not a snake. You first have to reassure the person. Then you come up with a positive one. This is a rope. Okay? So now consider this. This is an important thing to see. In the resolution of the knowledge that this is not a snake, this is a rope, both the rope and the snake are objects. So therefore, the snakiness of the vision needs to resolve into the ropiness of the vision. And the rope stays. So therefore, a positive identification of the rope is necessary. Now comes the Atma and the Anatma, the observed and the observer. Here, the observer is you. Is you. And if the mistake is removed, it is not necessary for you to be pointed out. This is the key thing. In other words, you do not need Shakti Vritti. Lakshya Vritti is enough. Why? Because the self is already complete. Praptasya prapti. It is not necessary to gain anything. You are already as free as you can be. What has happened is that there are in fact layers of mental vrittis that are covering you. So all that needs to happen is to remove the covering, but you yourself don't have to be revealed. In the more advanced form of Vedanta, in the more advanced version of this knowledge, it is said that even words are not a pramana for Atma. Generally we say that the words is the sixth command, is the sixth pramana, Shabda pramana. But really speaking, in the discussion by the Mahatmas who say, no, the Atma doesn't need any pramana, then what are we doing? What needs to happen is you remove the inconsistencies of the cover from your mind. It's a kind of like, it's very interesting. Supposing you wake up in the morning and morning is dark, so dark that you have to put the lights on in order to read something. That's how dark. There are days like that. So there is a thick cover, dark thick cover of the sun. The sun is not visible at all. So what do we have to do? Do we have to create the sun? The sun's already there. In fact, it's interesting, this is Swami Maheshanji had pointed this out, that even your sense that it is being covered is also lighted up by the sun. See, this is exactly like saying that I don't know that language. So even not knowing something is also revealed by your own Atma. This is what the Atma is. It is above viditat aviditadati. So here, going back to that, you have a thick cover during the day. You cannot see the sun. So what do we need to do? Actually, what we need to do is to wait for the cover to go. Here, this is slightly different because I am the very sun that is lighted up my ignorance, but I fail to see the beauty of myself because the ignorance makes me think that I'm a very limited person with limited capabilities, a samsari. And what needs to happen is those thoughts have to slowly be worked on so you don't feel that limited. You don't feel that limited. It's kind of like, now the 20 qualities that are being given in the Bhagavad Gita, Amanitvam, Adambitvam, starting with 7, verse number 7 through the 11, is taking away a small cloud cover. Small cloud cover. And if all the cloud covers are gone, what do you need to do? Do you have to create yourself? No. You are already complete. The sense of fulfillment will be not obstructed anymore. These are all obstructions that one needs to work on. So therefore, is a very beautiful example in Bhagavad Gita of verse number 1 through 11 between the difference between Vachyartha and Lakshyartha, between Shakti Vritti and Lakshya Vritti. In the case of Kshetragya, it doesn't need to be pointed out. It's already there. This is the real thing. Why Lord Krishna doesn't say, okay, now let me talk about Kshetragya. All he does is remove the covering. He says, just work on remove the covering. That's all. I don't have to point out. I don't have to point out where you are. You see, this is the beauty. Just look at this. It has to be pointed out where is east, where is west, where is today versus yesterday. All of that needs to be pointed out. It needs to be pointed out because it's all relative to the Sharira and Manaha and so on. You can double check it by saying that's you, but really it doesn't have to be, because and this is what we'll work on. These are the various roles of an actor. We were looking at that as the basic understanding of in the Vedanta, in the retreat. The actor in the role. When all the roles are taken away, you say the one that is in every role but is not in any role. That is who you are. See yourself abiding in everything, but not restricted by anything. This is what needs to be understood. And so, amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, kshanti, etc., etc. So, I can just give you my own personal. So, I remember when Swamiji had explained this very early on, and this was a mistake that many of us made. Certainly I made it. I don't know about the others. I shouldn't talk about anything else. Is that because we are initially experience seekers and we get glimpses of the experience even in the very beginning, so we think that all these qualities of amanitvam, adambhitvam, etc. are not that necessary, because I already am getting a glimpse of what it is. Somehow you feel that I'm a very smart person. I can figure this out. This is meant for, somebody else, really not for me. Huge blunder. Why? Because the experience kept coming and going, turning into some degree of frustration, no doubt about it. But I'm very happy that I had the Shraddha, because it's not as though I would walk away from the whole thing, even though I was not a completely fulfilled person. But I said, it's got to be in here somewhere. And then as my attitudes in life improved, I became more, one of the things is this manitvam, the opposite of amanitvam. Manitvam means that I know this. This was a very common thing that, I'm studying Vedanta. A lot of other people are not qualified. I'm somebody special. Huge mistake. When you say I'm special, that means you can only be special when you are limited. That really defines limitedness. Here Swami Khandananda very beautifully points out. He has a great explanation of what amanitvam means. So he says that there are three components of manitvam. Manitvam means the sense that I am an important person. Three components to it. Mana, Mani, and Manitvam. Three things. Mana means the sense that I am superior. So this is what is called ego. That I am somebody important. It's called. So the mana means the importance, superiority. This is called manam. The second thing is mani. Mani means I am somebody who is important. I think I am somebody that is important. This is called mani. So three, this is a triputi, right? So mana means, and this is term for dambitvam, all the other things, all the 20 qualities, but just looking at one quality. Mana means that quality that I feel I possess. The second one is who possesses? I possess. Who is this I? This is also a aham buddhi. This limited person possesses the quality of manam. This is mani, right? Mana is the quality. Mani is the possessor of the quality. And the whole phenomena is called manitvam. This is how we behave. All this points out to a sense of limitation. I remember Swami Dayanandji had given us this beautiful verse from, in fact, I read it again several other times. And I believe it is from Mahabharata. Somewhere in Mahabharata it was given. Maybe it's in Bhagavatam, I'm not sure. It says, Dharmam tyaja, adharmam chatyaja, yena tyajasi tatyaja. Beautiful. So he says, dharmanchara, dharman tyaja. Give up dharma means give up karma. Give up karma. Dharma means very specific activities. This is what I'm going to do. I'm doing good. Is dharman. Give that up. And of course, give up adharma. Give up adharma. But the most important thing is, yena tyajasi tat tyaja. The abhimana that I have given it up. You know, I have the very famous Swami Viditatmananda's story. The person coming up and saying, I have given up anger. So this is what we were just talking at the ashram. So Swamiji says, no, sometimes you think you have given it up, but sometimes anger kind of stays within you like a seed. He says, no, Swamiji, I am telling you. I have tested myself many times. I used to get angry before. I don't get angry anymore, so I am free of anger. You think Swamiji was going to keep quiet? He says, well, I think a lot of people feel that. But the fact of the matter is that sometimes it kind of hides in the back. This guy said, Swamiji, I am telling you, I never get angry. So this is the example of, I have the abhimana that I don't get angry. This is the abhimana. This also is a nail in the coffin of being a limited person. I have a specific abhimana. Then what should I do? Yena tyajasi, by which abhimana you give up things, give that up also. Meaning, how do I give that up? So that means you have to understand that dharma, adharma, tyaga, non-tyaga, all that are just the various forms that I can take, various roles that I can play, but I am free from those. This is turiya, this is jnanam. This, he says, is amanitvam. It is not the relative. You say, it's true, a lot of us really, in the later life, it's all opposite can also be true. We can become very egotistical if we, have done some important things, made a lot of money, whatever it is, then we can get even more egotistical. That happens to people. But as we progress, the ego has been tough on me. And so I tend to give up the ego. As you tend to give up the ego, you become a little bit less egotistical. So is that moksha? That's not moksha. You don't even think about egotistical, ego, not ego. Don't even think about it. You are a complete person in which ego can come and go. This is amanitvam. So therefore, we can now summarize the quiz to say this very beautiful transition of the teaching by Sri Krishna, that it points out the two things, kshetra and kshetrajna, and then says, here is what the kshetra is. Samasena means sankhshipena. I'm just giving you what the kshetra is. And as far as the other one is concerned, please remove any sense of limitation. And you don't need to point out that as this, it will shine forth as a very complete being. And so in that sense, each removal of the layers like amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, kshantir, arjavam, straightforwardness. What you say is what you feel. What you feel is what you say. Act, straightforwardness, consistency. All of these are the qualities that are covering yourself from yourself. If you just point, those are called the knowledge. So that's what he says in the Gita. In the end, he says, number 11, and the last one, we can even see all of them beautifully. And this is the one that is given in this very important book called The Value of Values, that was published in 2007. So this is the Swami Ji's book. So we can actually quickly pronounce this. Amanitvamadambhitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavam acharyopasanam shaucham sthairyamatma vinigraha indriyartheshu vairagyam anahankara evacha janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanudarshanam asaktiranabhishvangaha putradara grihadishu nityam prasamachittatvam ishtanishtopapatishu maicha ananya yogena bhaktiravyabhicharini vivikta desha sevitvam aratijana samsadi adhyatma jnana nityatvam Tattvagyanartha darshanam etad jnanamiti proktam ajnanam yadatonyatha. So he says that these qualities are in fact called jnanam. This is the knowledge because you are the very basis of the knowledge that you are okay. And so the Brahma of being limited can be removed, and you don't have to have the Brahma. It will automatically come. You will feel. Well, this is really true that it's interesting that we've talked about this other thing is that when you're very hungry, I've talked about this before, it's not necessary that you will be completely full, only then you will feel good about the hunger being gone. As you begin to eat, your hunger slowly goes away, and this points out to the fact that I'm not done yet. I need to eat some more, but I'm going in the right direction. Let me not give up. Let me continue with it. This is all very common knowledge. So exactly what happens is that amanitvam, adambhitvam, all these other qualities, it's not as though at the very end you will now shine forth. That is exactly what happens. That as you gradually become okay with the world doesn't bother you, you have a sense of self-satisfaction. And the self-satisfaction, so it becomes iterative. The more self-satisfaction you have, the less the world bothers you. And the less the world bothers you, the more satisfaction you have. And you can see this slowly evolve. And the Jivan Mukti is when you really have a very clear idea of who you are. You're complete, anadihi, avyaktaha, achintyaha, avikaryaha. You're done. You're done. So therefore, this exercise and the quiz basically points out the distinction between Vachyartha and Lakshyartha, between Shakti Vritti and Lakshya Vritti. That is the reason. It doesn't have to be specifically said. So even the qualities are called jnanam because the jnanam is already there. You don't have to create it. So hopefully you all felt that way. Like most of you, I'm sure. This is what it was a little tricky question because I had a very specific reason for asking that. And so this is the answer. If you have any questions about it, please contact. You can write to me. So this is where we're at. All right, so with that, we'll continue on with the study of the Karika. And this is also from Karika. This was actually taken from there. But as the teaching goes, as I told you, that I'm not going to just strictly go boom, 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 one verse at a time, but just expound on the overall aspect of the teaching as a course. So that's what I intend to do. Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Anyway, it's good to be back. We had a good, successful retreat, and with Ishwara's blessing, everything went well. No mishaps of any kind. Nobody fell sick. Nobody was hurt. And we had a good session with about 25 to 30 people. Very good group. Really enjoyed that. And also had the experiment of inviting some non-students, some of our friends also to come. So it was 5 of them. So I think they also they enjoyed the whole stay, worked very well. I think the ashram is happy with our holding the retreat every year, and they've invited me to come back again next year. So let us see. I would certainly like many of you that could not join this time for whatever reason, good reasons, but can make these plans ahead of time. I think it would be a very good get together for discussion. So I will let you know as soon as some dates get firmed up. So you can put on your calendar and you can tell your family ahead of time, this week is for me. So hopefully we will do that for next year. Yeah, that would be good. I think we can point out some specific things for you to work on as a way of enhancing your ability to do vichara. So I think that if you're all okay with it, not every 2 3 classes, but maybe once in a while, I will invoke a sense of your independent study, and then go over that to see what my understanding is, and let's see that there is a match between them. So yeah, I think that'd be a good thing to do. All right, very good. All the best to you. Hopefully we'll see you on Saturday. Hari Om.